Hello, this is Carolyn, and I just got back in from walking, and I'm drenched to a sweat. And I had a friend critique my last video, and she noticed that I talk way slower now than I used to. I guess I'm trying to be more measured and not, have regrets of what I've said. But she said that since people really, really like to be entertained, which is a topic that I will get back around to, but because people are looking for entertainment value, that it might be better for me to just go back to the a-hole that I once was and stop trying to be all sweet and stuff. Well, I'm just going to throw this out there, and any of you that have been around a few years like I have might remember this particular defense. When a woman was attacked and violated by a man, it was a common defense back 20, 30, 40 years ago, that the lawyer representing the gentleman that attacked the woman might say, "What were you wearing? You were wearing that? Were you trying to be provocative?" My client might have thought that you were trying to say this is the kind of relationship you wanted based on what you were wearing. Now, that particular argument, I don't know what the beginning of the end was to us having any expectations of people to be above and beyond uncivilized animals, but maybe it started back then. If you think about it, that defense is so insulting to the man that committed the crime, but it was a successful one for the time. So all of you people, I just want to go back to the good old days. No, you don't. They weren't all that. You're just remembering what you want to. Yeah, some of it was pretty good though, but not all of it. If you think about that as a defense, what is that saying? That a man is not above nothing but just an animal, uncivilized, unable to control his impulses, and just needs to be put on a muzzle on a chain in the yard like a dog. Because obviously, if you cannot control yourself, hey, dogs have been put down for biting people. Are you sure you want that as your defense? But the point I guess I was trying to make is that type of low-level thinking, we always just keep lowering our standards, it seems like, to where we are very, very spoilt, indulged, a group of people, in a sense, in almost every way you want to put in it, we kind of are. We are just wanting to be entertained. And okay, to go back to where I started this morning in my original argument, where there's a couple of people on my Facebook that says that the Bible is absolute malarkey. There's an old school word for you, because they cannot wrap their head around stories like Noah's Ark. You've got to tell them that's just a myth, because otherwise they're ready to dismiss the whole book. And I'm not mature in that way. I admitted I have a hard time with the Bible, and I need to raise my expectations of myself too, because that really is no excuse. Here is what we need to be doing, saying we need to not God dummy down the Bible so we can understand it and get us a person who's going to teach us and dummy it down. No, we need to elevate ourselves, because if this is the book of truth, as it's supposed to be, then it isn't our business to say, yeah, I'm going to debunk it. Nah, you don't want to go there. Don't debunk it. Figure out how it is true. Say, okay, this is what God says is true, and he didn't start with, this is a myth, this is the legend, this is a story that you're supposed to, it never really happened. It's like, once upon a time, like the three bears. It does not, it isn't worded that way. And if we are getting it in the purest sense, we got to say, okay, let's figure out how that happened. I think it was DNA. There was DNA of the animals, and there is no way that the people that were being told the story could present it to people to read over the years in a way that they would have comprehended it. So that, I don't know, I'm guessing. if it is supposed to be true, then we need to do a little better to accept that it is true and figure out just how it happened and raise our thinking to think, wow, that happened. Now let's figure out how. Instead of, oh, well, if you don't dummy it down and make it make sense to my five senses, then it didn't happen. Nah, okay. I hope I'm making more sense with this and doing more like my friend's critique, making it make a little more sense. Because we do, all of our standards have gotten lower. I mean, even just on our personal level, have you ever like hired someone to do a job for you? I hired some, this is my fault though, teenagers just to clean out this area in the basement around bird cages. But they asked for hazmat suits. I think I told the story on previous video. These are men. They need hazmat. I didn't ask them to touch the birds or touch the cage. They're telling me they need hazmat suits. We got to stop lowering our standards and try to elevate them a little bit. We got to do better. I was completely overpaying for this job. What they should have been doing is trying to find ways for me to choose them to do the job instead of me trying to find ways to make it more comfortable for them so they don't have to get their fingers dirty. But we got to do that in every, raise our standards a little bit, try to be something better than what we are, than expecting everything to be oversensitized, sterilized, and dumbed down to make it easier for us and keep us entertained. That Coldplay story, still, I didn't want to revisit that thing because I told you what I really think about it. People cheat all of the time. I mean, and if it was this is bad for me to say, but how important would this have been if these weren't rich people, CEOs, astronomers, something that we put in an elevated sense because we value who has the most money has got to be the coolest and most interesting, right? It couldn't be somebody who was poor. There are people that cheat all the time. The only reason we're interested in them is because they have money. Let's face it. We are just that ignorant, okay? Now, to my friend that helped me do better, should I be more edgy all the time and say exactly what I mean? You'll notice I don't speak as slowly when I say exactly what I mean in an unapologetic way. All right? Anyway, and please keep in mind, I am so far from perfect. Many times when I'm trying to think about what I want to say, it applies to me much more than anybody else listening. So thank you and have a blessed day.